Let's make a simple and silly cooling dessert with ingredients straight from your backyard. Hello shepherds, welcome back, and if you're new here, hello! This is where we talk all things sheepy. My name's Megan, and today we're making a soft cheese-based panna cotta nestled amongst a bed of berries and edible grass. First up, let's go ahead and make our grass. You'll need around a 4-inch or 10 centimeter equivalent-ish mini cake pan. A kitchen scale really helps too. Okay, so let's go ahead and preheat our oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 177 degrees Celsius. In a bowl, let's add our sugar and ghee. I'm using my sheep's ghee, but if you want to use softened butter, you can. I like to use sheep ghee as an oil substitute when making cakes or cooking, even though it's naturally mildly nutty. In baking dishes, it tends to add a lot more nuances, but also it helps in keeping this cake pretty moist and fluffy. Next, let's toss in some vanilla. I'm adding about 1/4 teaspoon or a gram almost, and a pinch of salt. Next up, we want to add in our 2 tablespoons or 21 grams of milk. I'm using our sheep's milk, and then 1 egg. I'm using a random farm egg. It's less than the average size of a store-bought egg, but it's fine in this recipe. Now let's go ahead and mix everything well. Fresh chicken eggs tend to have this incredibly thick white, so I'm going to mix that in super well and prevent any egg streaking. Now let's go ahead and add in our food coloring. I'm adding it in now because I don't want to overwork our gluten in the batter later on, so I'm adding it in this step. It's a gel food coloring, and because our cake is pretty yellow, it's a yellow cake mix, I'm aiming for a forest green batter. So to compensate for all that yellow from the eggs, I want to add in some green, mix in with some more blue tones to help combat that yellow in the eggs. Now let's go ahead and add in our 6 tablespoons or 40 grams of flour, and then 1/4 teaspoon or 1 gram of baking powder. We want to mix this in really well till combined and we don't see any streaks or anything going on with our batter. So let's go ahead and grease our pan, and if you want to line your pan now, you can. I'm mainly using our sheep ghee and just brushing it in along the sides and especially those corners of the pan. I find it does a really good job at keeping cakes from sticking to our pans, so I'm not going to line my pan. Now let's go ahead and pour our batter into our pan and then pop our pan into our oven. We're going to bake it at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 177 degrees Celsius for around 20 to 25 minutes. But I would start checking for doneness starting around the 15-minute mark, and what I like to do is check it and give it 5 minutes until we have a skewer or toothpick that comes out clean. Okay, so our skewer and toothpick is coming out clean, so let's go ahead and pull it out of our oven. And then we want to set it aside to cool. Okay, so now that we have our grass, let's make our bunnies. In a small bowl, add 4 tablespoons or 36 grams of milk. I'm using skimmed sheep's milk, and let's sprinkle about half a packet or 4 grams of powdered gelatin evenly over our milk. We wanted to give it about 5 minutes for our gelatin to bloom, so let's go ahead and set it aside and then work on our milk cheese bunny base in the meantime. For this step, we'll need half a cup or 80 grams of your favorite or latest softest sheep cheese and 1 cup or 240 grams about of milk. The cheese will add a lot of body and really thicken up our base, and also add a lot of creaminess. So let's go ahead and blitz our cheese and milk together until it's smooth. If you have a buttermilk based soft cheese, add some nice tangy notes to our bunny too. Okay, so now that everything's mixed together, let's go ahead and add it to our pan, and then add in as well our 2 tablespoons or 30 grams of honey, a pinch of salt, a dash of vanilla. Really, however much vanilla you feel is good. So let's go ahead and stir this together well. You may notice that there's some cheese bits in there, and this is normal. We're going to strain it out later. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop our cheesy base on low heat. We want to bring this up to the verge of simmering, where you maybe will see some steam rising, but we don't want to let our mix come to a full boil. With gelatin, it tends to lose its strength with overcooking, so this is how we keep our gelatin working to its full potential. If you do notice that your bunny base is boiling though, turn off the heat and pull it off the burner, and it should still be fine. Now that our mix is pretty warm, we're going to go ahead and add our gelatin. I've been working with the cast iron on low heat, so I'm going to pop our mix back onto the burner and gently stir the gelatin in and around to dissolve it in our mix. It should take less than a minute really. And now that it looks like the gelatin's pretty well dissolved, so I'm going to transfer it to a better container to pour, and then we're going to strain out our larger undissolved cheese bits out, leaving behind a smoother dessert. A fine mesh is optimal, but I think it's more important to use whatever you have on hand. Also, don't forget to prep your molds by greasing them lightly. I'm using a brush dipped in sheep's ghee, or if you want to eat out of the container, skip this step. I haven't decided yet what I want to do later, so I'm greasing these molds and then adding our panna cotta in. Uncovered, they tend to develop a skin on the surface, so I'm using a parchment paper here, but cling film works really well too. And then off the chill for several hours to overnight. To demold from our flexible bunny molds, I found it easier to freeze the molds and then pop the bunnies out. Mine did leave a bit of a liquid pooling as they defrosted in the fridge, and the bunnies can be hard to transfer once they're demolded and thawed, so I popped mine out onto the plate that I tend to serve them on to thaw. So that's just some bumps to look out for when you're making this dish. Definitely my favorite way to eat these though are in the container. But another fun way to serve them too is to scoop it out onto your plate. Okay, so now that our bunnies are ready and de-thawing, let's go ahead and get our grass. We want to unmold our cake by running a blunt knife around the edge while gently lifting the cake off the base of the pan. So then when we tip our pan out, the cake should plop right out onto our plate. And if not, we run the knife again and then it should plop out. I want to tear at the cake to create a more ragged and natural edge. Then for accents, I'm adding some more berries from our garden. Black caps, some currants, red and white, red raspberries, and strawberries. It's kind of giving salad to me though, so I'm going to add some more blossoms and herbs. There's some borage as well as herbal flowers, and accents with some red leaf wood sorrel. I cut them in half to make eyes, and it kind of reminds me of that white bunny from Monty Python, or maybe even a little bit of Bunnicula if you read those books. For the dish, rather than invert it, I decided to just drizzle some of our simple syrup from our last video on top of it. It really blends in well with the honey and vanilla notes, as well as there's this softly savory flavor from the soft cheese coming through. The cake itself also, it's delicious. It's a straightforward yellow cake. The vanilla is more pronounced than the nutty notes from all the ghee, and both the cake and the bunnies on their own are really fun and hit the spot, especially if you want a simple and uplifting treat. This dish is best eaten though within 2 days, especially when unmolded. With the cake being torn, it tends to dry out a lot faster as well, and when stored in a jar, the panna cotta tends to fare far better covered in the fridge than unmolded. Unmolded, it's a very much of a silly dish, and I really love how it wiggles. It's pretty refreshing on a hot summer day, even with the grass. So if you've made it this far, an extra special thank you. I appreciate you. I really hope if you're currently in the throes of this scorching heat, I hope you're able to take care of yourself and stay safe. Winter is only a couple months away, and unless you're near the equator, then it's just dark green season. But enough about seasons. Do you have any projects that you're looking forward to start or finish? I find it easier to start projects than finishing projects, so how about you? Also, if you've enjoyed diving into the sheepy side of the dairy world, hit that subscribe button and the bell where we explore sheep-focused lifestyle every week. Until next time, stay soft and fluffy. Ta-tas.